Yes, welcome to Business Chronicles here at Studio 84. My name is Solomon, your host of Business Chronicles at Studio 84. And Studio 84 is a podcast studio set up to facilitate individuals and organizations and businesses tell their stories and along the way position themselves as authorities at what they do, because we believe that everyone is an authority at something and has a story to tell. Today, maybe I tell you how it works. So how it works at Studio 84, in case you ever wanted to be a podcaster or have a story to tell or is launching a product, or you have something basically to communicate that you feel would come out well in a podcast, just reach us out. Our contacts are in the description below. We shall guide you on the journey to do that. Whether you've ever done it or you've never done it and you always wondered how it works, we are your guys. Today, I have an interesting person. My usual guests are typical business people who are somewhere on the hustle on a daily. This one is, this one is more like business support, but it's also a business that she does. I'll ask her to introduce herself. I've known her for a couple of years, and one thing I would say, if you ask me to describe her in one word, I would say she is thorough. Would that work? I think Mona is extremely thorough at what she does. Before this episode ends, I know you will agree with me. Mona,
let's wait and see.
Please introduce yourself.
Thank you for having me. Well, thorough, I'll think on it some more today.
Yeah.
But I don't really look at myself as thorough. And when you are introducing, you're saying somebody. The people that you host here are usually an expert at something. And then what came to mind was the 10,000 hour rule.
Yeah.
And I think it was Malcolm Gladwell who first brought it up. And so I thought, what have I done for
10,000 hours
that you're hosting me here for? Maybe just existing.
You'll be surprised.
In my shell as Mona. Yeah. But thank you for having me. Mona, Muguma Ssebuliba.
Yeah.
Chief Executive for ABI Finance, wife, mother, sister, daughter, many things. Congregant at Worship Harvest Ministries. Yeah, lots of faces and hats that I wear. Proud member of Rotary International.
Wow.
My club is Rotary Club of Kampala, the oldest one in Uganda.
Wow.
The mother of all Rotary clubs in Uganda. Yeah, a new member. And you know how new converts are.
Where did you meet? When?
At the Sheraton Hotel every Thursday between 12:45 and 2 p.m.
And 2 p.m. it's a lunch hour gathering.
Part of what attracted me to it. The hours worked for me.
It's near your office.
Near my office and the times as well.
Yeah.
The ones that meet after hours collide with very many things, including traffic jam and the general exhaustion of the day. So you find that sometimes if I'm faced with a choice with engagement or go home.
Yeah. Home is always
win.
the choice.
Yeah, home will win many times. So that was part of the attraction.
Mona, you just from your introduction, I think will come my first question. Where do you find time to do all these things?
Scheduling. I remember when we set up for this podcast.
Yeah.
I remember what I did. I whipped out my phone to look at my schedule, and together we found a time that works for us both. So you've got to scheduling your rest, scheduling your appointments, and also the ability to say no. So I say no to certain things. Sometimes no means let's do this later. Or not at all. Yeah. But scheduling helps. That way you pace yourself and look at the week and the month and know this is too much, or this is just about what I can take, or there's room for this. And they're important engagements such as yours, and one makes the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. So Mona, scheduling, you whipped out your phone, not your diary. What were you doing before the phone? Were you also a scheduling person in your physical diary? Because I feel my phone calendar is one of the most important tools I have now. And it has happened to me recently that if I don't log an appointment in my phone calendar, I'll most likely miss it.
Exactly. And just last week I was teasing somebody who I believe is very busy but uses a physical diary.
Yes.
And they convinced me that they write both in the physical diary and the phone. I just hope they're not being a Luddite and hanging on to the physical diary. But like you, indeed, I must schedule in things, even down to social engagements.
Yeah.
What you're doing on Sunday, what you're doing on Saturday. It no longer is enough to just know we have a wedding coming up. I also must admit that there was a time in my life I wasn't that busy or I wasn't that engaged, where my work and social life was rather predictable. Going to work, I think there was a stage of my management or my career where my engagements were mostly in the office with office people.
Yes.
And I was serving other people to probably be more outward.
Yeah.
Now I've risen to that place and I'm the one now facing outward and my engagements are more outward. So there's a point I didn't need to schedule because my work was in the office. I'm meeting people.
They are all here.
They're around me.
Yeah.
And it was hard to forget the meetings weren't that many. Then even my social calendar, there's a period it was quiet. For instance, the time I was doing my master's.
Yeah.
And school was at the weekends. So for a while, for about 3 years, I could only be found at Matt or at my brother's home because we were doing the masters together. And when we were not in class, we were at his house studying.
Yes.
So there's a point where my social calendar was also very predictable, and there were just very few engagements to fill those in.
Yeah.
So no, as I've grown in my career, I have had to schedule as I got busier, and especially as my engagements became a bit more external.
Mona, back to your introduction, ABI. What is ABI? Is it a bank? It has a B somewhere in there.
B used to be for ball. Now, so these days it's B for bank. The bankers will be pleased.
Yeah.
ABI is Agricultural Business Initiative.
Yeah.
Established over 14 years or 15 years ago in 2010 by the governments of Uganda and the governments of Denmark.
Okay.
And the government of Denmark was represented by the Royal Danish Embassy, and the government of Uganda still is represented by the Ministry of Finance, specifically the Permanent Secretary's Office.
Yes.
And it was set up to support agricultural or agribusiness development in Uganda. Prior to that, the Danish government, through the Royal Danish Embassy, through Danida, had a series of programs focused on agribusiness. And in partnership with the Uganda government, agreed that there was need for lasting investment as opposed to short 5-year programs.
Yes.
So they decided to set up ABI as an entity in perpetuity that will have a strategy enshrined in agribusiness development of Uganda, whose main focus is agribusiness development that works on a business plan and strategies in perpetuity just to keep that going.
Yes.
And with that, they came in with the necessary funding. So government of Uganda remained a strategic partner. And Ministry of Finance was the most suitable because, to
receive the funding.
or not receive, but to oversee the flow of funds.
Yeah.
The monies were received directly in ABI.
In ABI.
ABI at the time, ABI Trust, but has since morphed into two organizations. So there's ABI Finance, whose focus is deepening access to finance for smallholder farmers and agribusinesses, and it partners with financial institutions to deliver on its mandate. Now that's the one that I head.
Yeah.
And so ABI Finance is where I sit, and that's the team I work with that I lead. Then the second entity is ABI Development, still focused on agribusiness development, but whose mandate and instrument of trade is, first of all, grant financing, and works directly with agribusiness actors like people into value addition, processors, any manufacturers in the agribusiness value chain, cooperatives, and those kind of entities, as well as smallholder farmers, to enhance production and productivity within the agribusiness value chains that they operate in. Smallholder farmers also remain a focus for ABI development, but they reach them through the processors, manufacturers. It's hard to use manufacturing when you're talking about agriculture. But anybody in value addition, any of the collectives that bring them together.
Yes.
Because behind them, they'll have a network of smallholder farmers that they work with.
Yeah.
And their focus there is to enhance production and productivity. So that, and what do I mean by that? So that from, say, 1 acre, a 1 acre plot, and in fact a smallholder farmer does their agriculture in less than an acre, less than half an acre, that from whatever size of plot you have, through good agronomic and now climate smart agriculture practices, we can enhance what you're producing
out of that, whatever size you have.
So that to get more, you don't have to clear more land.
Yeah.
The population is growing.
Yeah.
And when population grows, people clear more land, cut down forests.
Yes.
Go into wetlands. Because they're trying to get the same 5 kilos that they used to get yesteryear.
From a smaller piece of land.
From the same piece of land. So because they don't have the right agronomic practices, they just expand to maintain the same yield. And that's just counterproductive and not good
Smart,
and not good for the earth in general. Because we must coexist with the biodiversity around us. We need the wetlands, we need the forests, we need the bush and vegetation to support flora and fauna and insects and bees. So if we clear all those things, we're in danger. So ABI development focuses on that. ABI finance focuses on access to finance. So naturally, ABI finance is working with the financial institutions to, first of all, understand agriculture, understand agribusiness, understand the needs and the peculiarities with smallholder farmers. They're using handheld hoes. Efficiencies are not yet achieved. Climate change is here. What are we doing to adapt to climate change and be more resilient? How do you put out the right or necessary products? A financial institution needs to understand that. And then lend to them and support them. So you find that your financial institution, your regular credit officer now is almost an agronomist needing to understand these things. And as I've said, ABI development on the other end. So we're dealing with, you can say, different sides of the same coin. Enhance the production and productivity, while on this side we deal with the financing side. So our partners are the financial institutions, right from the tier 1s all the way to tier 2, 3 to the tier 4s, savings and credit cooperatives in the countryside. Big focus area for us. I was speaking with a couple of people yesterday, and just before I get into the detail, I'm going to get into, they asked, what about the men? Because I talked about, we focus a lot on deepening access for refugees, for women, for youth, and for underserved regions like northern and eastern Uganda. And so somebody raised up their hand and asked, what about the men? I said, you see, we typically target our partners to reach at least 40% of the financing should be lent out or accessed by women. And then for now, our target for youth is between 20 and 30%. But our partners as a collective are hardly reaching 20 or 25%.
No way.
There are some who are shooting the lights out, but when you average it out with the ones who are not, you're as strong as your weakest link. The average tapers out to between 20 and 25% at most. So we were saying the other 80 or 85% are male smallholder farmers or agribusiness-led enterprises that are led by men. So they still need to focus on the inclusion of women, youth, refugees. We're very generous, hosting about 2 million refugees who need to come and earn a living, and their go-to tends to be agriculture. So you exclude them or don't pay attention to them, to your own detriment as a country, to your own detriment as a market, because they're a potential market as well. And northern and eastern Uganda, inclusion demands that there be equity in development. So you can't leave all these demographics excluded.
Yes.
So that's what we do.
You mentioned something sometime I was listening to, I think on Business Garage, you mentioned something about a typical lending institute like a bank lending and expecting repayment in the first or second month while I'm borrowing to plant whatever I'm planting. I'll first make money in 6 months or years. Yes.
You're touching up the capacity building that we do for financial institutions.
Yeah.
And indeed, as I've said, we've had to train them, first of all, on having the right products. Typically, the kind of products that they have, say if they're lending to a salaried person,
Yes.
they can expect repayments every month. So they structure that the money goes out on a certain time T. When do you expect your salary? 25th, so we can have the debit off your account on 25th, latest 26th. Not so with a farmer. There's a period when the seed is in the ground or the animal is in gestation. And while the seed is in the ground, there's no harvest, no sales are being made, and therefore no income is being received. So there's no way you can then have your interest rate on, your repayments on the product to an agribusiness or a smallholder farmer be monthly. You need to then be able to have the flexibility to structure it that it ties into the harvest period, and you're able to collect back your money. So those are the kind of tweaks and capacity building. You'd be surprised that it's not intuitive, that it's not common sense, that some have had to have a bad portfolio materialize, only to see it's not truly bad. These farmers are willing to pay you. It's just that the product is not structured to account for that. And so we go through that process, or just bringing them up to speed on the vagaries of climate change. Climate change, for instance, is also responsible for this aflatoxin issue we've seen that is affecting the grains and cereals sector, because the heavy droughts have resulted in bacteria that is resistant to a lot of the pesticides, and also thrives in poor harvest handling. So if you don't dry on tarpaulins, you don't fully dry the grain, you store it in a damp corner, we then get aflatoxins. Aflatoxins have been responsible for the rise in liver and pancreatic cancer.
Wow.
And that is all linked to climate change. There's some pathogens or some bacteria that are now thriving in the very dry conditions in which we find ourselves, and if not properly handled, then we have this problem. Or some seed has died in the field due to prolonged drought or flooding. So now there's improved seed, for instance, that enables seed withstand drought and then hold on for like 4 months of drought, where typically they would have completely died in 2 months. They hold on, and then when the rains come, they're able to sprout. Or floods, they don't rot. There's an issue of rotting in the ground because of flooding. So then comes with that improvement. You have to make institutions aware of that, so that they go the extra mile. If a borrower is taking out credit to buy seed, so what you then go on and ask, and now there's an issue of fake inputs as well.
Yes.
So then the banks go the extra mile and say, we're dealing with Solomon as a supplier of genuine inputs. So if you're going to borrow our money to buy inputs, you can only access the inputs from Solomon's shop, or a number of shops qualified.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, they don't want to be left holding the bag. Because you bought fake inputs, so your intentions were right, but went to the wrong person. So they they do their best to even earmark those sources, so that at least their portfolio is safe. They're interested in you paying, by the way.
Yes.
The other misconception people have, or maybe it's not been a misconception, maybe it's been an experience, especially on the informal side of lending, is that the banks are out to get you. They really want you to succeed. They make more money
when you
from
pay
you
back.
paying back and being a good customer and coming and borrowing more. The margins are healthier as opposed to running after you. They're not interested. They're not property managers. They're not interested in your property. They're not interested in taking your land. They'd much rather see you succeed, actually, expand the business and borrow more to keep expanding.
So Mona, you're here speaking. I'm looking at you and wondering, you're heading ABI finance, but you're talking aflatoxins and bacteria and things. And I mean, this woman, what's her background? Is she agriculture or finance? But before you answer that, Mona, your background quickly. Who qualifies to get access to your finance, and especially who doesn't?
Especially who doesn't. First of all, financial institutions are our partners on the ABI finance. So we're not retail facing.
So you don't face the farmers?
No, we don't.
Okay.
They need not know about us. We work for their cause, but they need not know about us. And it's deliberate. One, we don't serve them directly. Success for us is if our partners understand their customers, the agribusinesses and smallholder farmers, very well and intimately, and serve them successfully.
Those are the banks.
Those are the banks. Okay. So that's who our customers are. There's also deliberate reasons why we're not letting on the work that we do with the banks, because we don't want to have a problem such as moral hazard.
Yeah.
We don't want institutions, and so you realize I'm not exactly telling you which institutions we work with, because we don't want a case of people walking into bank A, B, C, D and saying there's money.
There's money from ABI.
One, it's not free money.
Yeah.
It's not a grant. It's not concessional. These institutions are borrowing from us at market rate and deploying it as they would any other sources of money.
Makes sense.
Similar as they would from deposits, similar as they would from other lenders of or sources of debt. We're another source of debt, only that ours focuses on agribusiness and agriculture.
I get it. So if I go to a certain commercial bank and I borrow for agriculture and they give me these agriculture favorable terms, the money they are giving me is most likely from ABI, but I don't have to know that.
You don't have to know. Okay. And there's lots of us, by the way. For instance, there's the central bank that has the agricultural credit facility. So they are blended. There are many other institutions that are providing that type of facility.
Okay.
And I in terms of favorable, I don't want us to think interest rate. I want us to think, is this the right product in terms of the way the repayments are?
Yes.
Are they supporting me in being agriculturally or, climate smart and that type of thing? One thing we must, in the meantime, I think, forget about is cheap money.
Yeah.
Concessional money, if you like. Those kind of facilities are few and far in between. And agribusiness is competing with real estate, with manufacturing, with consumer lending, where they're lending to us to buy cars, change our wardrobes, refurbish our houses, get married. So in the suite of products that institutions have to lend out, if we keep insisting that agriculture and agribusiness is cheap, they will walk away from it, because also agriculture is quite high risk.
Okay.
And unfortunately, it doesn't always follow the adage of high risk, high return.
No.
With the vagaries that affect agriculture, it might be high risk, low return.
Yeah.
Now, when you find yourself in a situation like that, you best not be pushing that sector as cheap or give it concessions. Does the sector need support? Yes. And that's what partners like ABI Development are trying to do. Introduce or support the sector with climate smart solutions to make it that much more competitive. But I think what we need to increasingly wean ourselves of or manage our expectations is finding cheap, what people call cheap or concessional money for agribusiness.
It's not sustainable for the money providers.
It isn't. Yeah. It isn't. And so it also means that the leaders within the agribusiness sector need to professionalize and run agriculture or agribusiness enterprises as they would any other business.
Yeah.
Governance, systems, structures, and all that need to be at play.
Yeah.
I find sometimes that many people come out of day jobs that they've been running very seriously with very tight governance structures. When it comes to agriculture, they think they're going to do it on the phone. They're going to do it by looking at what their cousins or friends are doing.
Yeah.
They are going to put labor in place to oversee millions and millions of shillings and equipment that in another business, say if it were in manufacturing or a factory, they would ask people who are qualified to come run and oversee these businesses. But in businesses, in agribusiness, where they are sinking lots of money, they want to use unskilled or informal labor and don't want to invest in building the capacities of that labor, as peculiar as it is, or have good oversight. They think they're going to go to these investments with what of millions or hundreds, tens, sometimes billions over the weekend, every 2 weeks when they get time, call over the phone, see how things are going. And I think sometimes why they get lulled into that state is because of the incremental nature in which they do agriculture or agribusiness. Find yourself with a plot of land, you bought the plot of land, you have inherited it, then you go visit a cousin or friend, then you see that they're doing some coffee, then you say, why not start some coffee? Then you get into it, you find you have 5 million, you kick off with 5 million. You don't realize that it's now taking an average of 2 million per month. 2 million times 12 months, that's 24 million. That's not pocket change. No. But because it's coming out in drip
you don't feel it.
You don't feel it, and you think it's still, it's my hustle that I'm doing on the side. It's a big deal. For which you need to plan, for which you need to professionalize as you would, for which you need training, for which you need capacity building, for which you need to do research, for which you need to understand well. If they were asked, here is a venture worth 24 million or 30 million, we hardly know what it's about. We have some guy overseeing it. We don't know his background. We'll keep feeding him some information. We will call once in 2 weeks over the weekend. When we have time, we will pass by. If you ask those same people, would you put your 30 million?
No, they wouldn't.
They wouldn't. But they don't think about it because of the incremental nature. I have my aunt at the farm. She's the one overseeing it.
I get it.
Yeah.
I understand.
So the same level of professionalism that you apply to other sectors, we need to apply to the agribusiness sector for it to thrive. We need to apply our minds to things like, how do we get our economy off the handheld hoe if we're going to be competitive? Because other people are applying technology.
Yeah.
And with technology now will come enhancements of AI. Where you go to large farms in Europe and you see milking being done by an AI-enabled machine. And the cows are guided and there's hardly any human labor intervening to milk machines. Yeah. But if everything in our part of the world is still rudimentary, as rudimentary as a handheld hoe, where are you going to even apply AI? How are you going to compete globally in terms of being, or how are we going to take our place truly as being the food basket of the world? I think we loosely use that word food basket of the world and don't pause to understand what that requires for us to actually live
up to
that
the
mandate.
Name. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, Mono. Back to the other question. Oh, no, I have to ask this. It came to mind. Someone will argue that the handheld hoe is a tool of unemployment for the people, for the majority. If you apply AI and it's doing the work of 5 milkmen, what will the other 4 milkmen do if you have one person managing the AI tool to do the work of all the others?
One, I think we need to embrace AI as an enabler and an opportunity and less as a threat. And we need to question ourselves on how we are embracing AI. This morning, I was on a call, Business Leaders Network, with Worship Harvest, Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays and Fridays, 7 to 7:30. and Grace Munira was teaching on unlearning. And one of the things that stayed with me was he mentioned, well, this whole segment I've taught on today was powered or supported by AI.
Yeah.
And then he asked, now that I've told you guys that, you're probably feeling disappointed, like, it was
I thought
done
you
by
are the smart guy in the
it's
room.
been done by AI. And then he got us to ask ourselves, guys, make your minds up about AI. Do you want it or not? It is here to enable us. It has condensed research that would have taken me a couple of days to now under a minute, and I'm able to deliver these snippets, and you can go do your own research or read. He then asked, why is it when your reports in the office put together your speaking points or some piece of research or a memo used by AI, you're not happy?
Yeah.
You say, did you do this yourself or was it done by AI? Meanwhile, in other hats we're wearing, embrace AI, we need to use AI, AI is making us efficient. Or in the learning environments, lecturers are marking down, or even teachers are marking down students. If you use AI, we mark you down, we'll cut you out. We can tell the things that have been done by AI.
Innovating AI tools to smoke out AI done assignments.
Exactly. Can we make our minds up? And we need to make our minds up lest we are restricting ourselves to the basic rung on Maslow's hierarchy of needs to the basic one. Refusing to embrace AI is akin to refusing to embrace electric power or lighting in favor for candlelight, because that's what our forebears studied on.
Paraffin,
yes, that's
kerosene
what our
lamp.
forebears grew on. And look at the men and women it made them out to be. So us guys are soft if we use electricity. I mean, it's akin to taking that type of approach. The other approach can be, guys, in fact, we should be castigating of, with AI at your fingertips, you couldn't put together the research so you're not asking AI the right questions. If you had asked AI the right questions and also been able to, because AI is not all perfect, but it is enabling you gather quite a bit of data.
Yes, it does.
So maybe we need to get better at proofreading, cross-referencing, cross-checking, and that's what we should look out for, but also hold ourselves to a higher standard where we're saying, now that those basic things are done, how are you then using that information to think forward? What invention or innovation comes to mind? How are you applying that knowledge that you now get in under a minute? How are you using it? How are you using AI with your own questioning and that type of thing to take us to the next level?
The next thing
Otherwise, it's also akin to this mindset. Never let your children know that you're wealthy. Let them know that they have to work for everything that they are going to earn. How about we embrace wealth stewardship?
We are wealthy.
We're wealthy. Let's get over that.
But that doesn't mean...
And your obligation
Yes.
is to build on and improve what you found for the next generation. You cannot have inherited 100,000 and one pass on 50,000. At a minimum, you need to make it 100,000 plus.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So whatever you're doing now, you need to be gainfully employed, or applying yourself or applying those investments or resources to be 200, 300 for the next generation. It means we have left bread and butter. You don't have to think of your first house or maybe your first mortgage. We have all these properties where we live, the next generations are sorted. Can they be thinking of the next things? If it's a business that they have inherited, not only do we just want it to survive, we want it to grow, and you're passing it on. What if the business had one outlet? How many things has it done thereafter? How has it grown? If we pass on and cultivate a mindset of stewardship, then you won't be worried about, if these kids know that we're wealthy, they're not going to apply themselves. Let them go and buy their first plot of land. You're busy looking to buy your first plot of land. People are dominating the world and its resources and taking over things because they're not weighed down by the shackles of some basic, the thing I said, Maslow's hierarchy. we need to keep moving up the rungs so that people have free time beyond their basics.
You are bringing your people who should be thinking about what next to come, you're bringing them back down to start worrying about the things they already have.
Never getting over your struggles.
Mona, whenever we talk about technology and literacy and so on, the one thing that keeps coming to mind is safe border. Mm-hmm. It's how all these border men were here, and we thought that they wouldn't be able to use a smartphone, and they demystified that thing.
There you go.
Like, whoever knew a time would come when a random local border guy is operating a smartphone using GPS, getting paid online in a wallet, and so on and so forth. I mean,
so back to the farmers.
Yes.
Back to the herdsmen that you want to all be. Can we?
But yet they have their smartphones and watching TikTok all day in the shambas.
Betting.
Yes, and betting online.
Issue. You understand? So can we build their capacities? So that's the challenge of today's generation: upskilling, reskilling existing. So even the white collar employees or workers are not immune to the threat of AI if they don't change attitude to unlearn, relearn, reskill, retool, and think of the next thing after.
Mona, that's not saying, that's not mentioning how much time it saves you to do what someone once called admin work of typing and, doing things. It's amazing how it just saves you like 30 minutes, 1 hour of typing.
Exactly.
All that is time saved.
Exactly.
Mona, I have to ask this question. How did you end up here? Why did you study agriculture at the university to know aflatoxins and things like that, or finance? What's your background?
My background is finance, and I'd say I'm here by God joining the dots.
Yeah.
So there's God is in this picture. Other people like to call it fate. Other people like to call it serendipity. I say it's God joining the dots. But also, one thing I have learned is that I think human beings need basic literacy.
Yes.
And common sense and understanding. Anybody of average to normal capacity, forget where somebody is challenged in one way or the other and isn't on what we would call normal. But I think any discipline really where somebody has applied themselves is average to good to excellent can pretty much learn anything if they apply their minds to it. There are certain things, I think, when you lose your rigor or aptitude, or there are some natural inclinations. I think that's why some people opt for arts and other people opt for sciences. So one, there's that kind of inclination. But by and large, I think there's certain things that you can learn without necessarily having to be a genius at anything. It's just the application. So I'm from a finance background. I studied business administration, majoring in finance at university for my first degree. And then for my MBA, I did an MBA. So I've largely worked in that. But interestingly, my career started in shipping and logistics with Maersk Shipping. That I did for 2 years at the time, if you recall.
Before or after your MBA?
Straight
out of university.
Right out of uni. Actually, before I graduated, some employers used to come to the universities to recruit.
Yeah, I remember.
And so we applied. And this is where I tell young people, especially learners, students, who even are fortunate enough to not be burdened by having to work for their school fees, who have the opportunity to just be full-time students. Because, there are people who have to work alongside education, who don't have the opportunity of, say, having parents or guardians who are paying their fees and your only obligation is to study. So especially learners who find themselves in that privileged position where your only obligation is to study, please apply yourself and put your best foot forward and get good grades. It's not good enough of I did my best. Is your best cutting it? And get good grades. In this economy, it's usually an upper second to a first class degree. Why? those opportunities to apply to those recruiters, even though they open them wide, they first pick out the cream. They first pick out those who are excelling.
Yeah.
And so you want to give yourself the best chance possible. So apply yourself and work hard and work smart and partner with the right people and get good to excellent grades.
Great.
I don't want to stop it at do your best. Is your
No.
best good to excellent? If it is not, get the help you need to try and get good to excellent grades.
Because at that level in life, you're being judged by your grades.
And the opportunities or doors are
Yes.
starting to close and
Yes.
narrow
Yes.
based on those. Performance currency will never go out of fashion. Even in the workspace, performance currency doesn't go out of fashion. Never mind that soft skills are required, but you first get noticed by performance currency. For a student, you first get noticed by your grades.
Because that's all
Because
you
you don't have
Yeah.
you don't have anything else. You don't have any experience. So okay, I'm talking to you because you have displayed that for the last many years of your education,
Yes.
you sat through class, were able to pay attention, passed your exams, and beat the average number of people. And on the bell curve, you're in this 5%. So I'll talk to you because in my organization, I want the best.
Yeah.
You get in. So that's how we had the opportunity. And thanks to friends, one I'll mention is Ida Bunya, who from the get-go, right from my days at Gayaza, because she's been looking after me when I thought about it since I joined Gayaza High School as an S1 student. Always drumming up of guys, we need to excel. So when I was in S1, well, when you get to S4, you need to come back to Gayaza for HSC. So this is what we do. This is how we work hard.
Yes.
Came back to Gayaza for HSC. She went first to business school, Makere University Business School, MOBS. Got there, found her in her third year. Hey, guys, you know where we are right now? Third year, I'm facing opportunities for employment and people that are excelling. Whole first dibs.
Yes.
Guys, work hard. Always rallying us to work hard, excel. And she got to Musk before me, made known the opportunities. Unfortunately or fortunately, in this world, there's information asymmetry. No, not everybody knows the same information. Let us know when they'd be recruiting, when to put in applications, did that, but had the backup of good grades. Didn't take that for granted. She says, go and practice your aptitude tests. You know, the IQ psychometric test. Go and practice. By the time we got into the room, I'm different from somebody who's encountering it for the first time or hadn't practiced compared to maybe I'd clocked my 10,000 hours.
On aptitude tests.
Yes, got in and got my first job, shipping and logistics. But I had a business degree with finance. So I come in as a finance trainee. Turned out finance meant accounts in organizations, accounts which I had dropped in my second year, but very grateful for employment.
Yes.
So I didn't turn my nose up at it, and it came with immense, wonderful training opportunities in the world of logistics. Got into ships, got into this Maersk Shipping Training Academy, went to Denmark and met people from all nationalities. We were on the fast track, management trainees, and got into the International Computer Driving License at the time when all these MS Word, Excel, PowerPoint were still new. Learned how to work efficiently, especially in a logistics environment. Timing is everything, and precision and what have you. So got that opportunity. 2 years later, an opportunity opens up in Uganda's capital market, specifically with the organization African Alliance that delivered the first unit trusts ever. And they were recruiting junior portfolio managers. Applied, again through relationships and word of mouth, knew when they were recruiting, applied, got shortlisted. Good track record by that point. So I have good grades. I've also, Musk has done some basic work on me. You understand, I'm not as raw.
Given you access to the
exactly
AI tools of those days.
Right?
Word, PowerPoint, and so.
Exactly. Get in there, work for 7 years. By the time I was leaving, I'd risen from junior portfolio manager to head of asset management, and I was deputizing the CEO at the time, who was Kenneth Chitariko. Wonderful, excellent boss. He, by the way, made me appreciate the premium on a good work environment. Prior to him leading us, we had unfortunately been led by nothing short of a tyrant, if you ask me, a lady that
I'm not waiting for the name.
Yeah, didn't make for the best work environment. And when Ken came on, I remember he was a breath of fresh air. He's a coach leader, very empowering, but the camaraderie and friendship and being a leader was not the equivalent of being a tyrant. And he normalized leadership, humanized it, and made going to work fun. I credit him for that, for especially teaching us how the workspace where we spend an inordinate amount of time should not be hell. It should be professional, but it should be a cordial, lovely place that you want to spend time. Very professional, very friendly. It was a wonderful workspace. So I credit Ken for that and for professionalizing us, but also good blood, decency. Yeah, the decency quotient.
Yeah.
And then it was time to move on. I was looking for new challenges. Again, through relationships. Now, this is my mom, who had been in the women's movement. She's a lawyer, retired now, but had been at the forefront of women's rights and leadership development through her work in FIDA.
Yeah.
And so I got to find out of an opportunity at Akina Mama wa Africa, which focuses on women's rights, leadership, and development.
Yes.
And I had the opportunity of serving there as a regional head of programs for 2 years. Now I credit Akina Mama wa Africa for humanizing my professional work and introducing me to development work, to inclusion, to sustainability, as it were, to women's rights, to feminism, empowerment, and just going beyond profits, going beyond bottom line, and thinking of the cost of profit on society, on planet, on women, on youth, on marginalized individuals like refugees, underserved regions like northern and eastern Uganda. We cannot turn our eyes away. You cannot look away from certain injustices and make the money, be profitable, but be responsible.
Yes.
They introduced me to that. Sustainability, as it were, and now sustainability is everything. Look after the environment, be socially inclusive, and espouse good corporate governance. I think before there was an acronym, ESG, or name to it, AMWA introduced me to that. Even before it was perfected as sustainability as ESG, I just remember thinking, wow.
The concept was there.
Yes, there was a transformation in my mind. There was a realignment. One of those things you can't unsee, you can't unknow. So I don't think I can just only look for bottom line and profit without thinking about people and planet. Yeah, exactly. Then another opportunity unfolded, again within the development work, which is now ABI. And it played to my strengths, which had been finance, investment management, because for 7 years I'd done unit trust management, pension fund management, treasury and investment management for the funds that we were looking after. And ABI was looking at the time for a senior investment officer. And when I was done with my probation, I then got promoted to investment manager, and we were looking after ABI's funds that it now invests in its work. And so it played to my strengths of investment management, but now AMWA had done the work of development finance. So I did understand when they were looking out for the smallholder farm and agribusiness and working with the financial institutions to better serve them, to better understand their needs, to help educate them, to invest in the market in which you're going to benefit from.
Yes.
AMWA had laid the foundation, and then ABI built on it. So here I come without knowing much about agriculture, and then they train me and build my capacity. That's why I'm saying when you have the basic framework, it just keeps getting layered on your ability to learn and take in new information, which is why I'm confident we will survive the advent of AI. It will work for us. We've been here before.
Yes.
And we will get better for it. So that's what ABI has now sharpened. So no, I didn't know agriculture, but I've submitted myself to training, to learning from my peers, to some technical training, to reading, and exposure to new knowledge and information, which is what has got me where I am. When you look at my career, it looks very straightforward and perfect, and I want to leave this place demystifying that it hasn't been. It's just because I'm speaking to you and it looks very linear that it always went from A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
There were long pauses, there was doubt, there was wondering, there were gaps in between, there was uncertainty. For instance, I like to tell this story. ABI, when I interviewed, I was not the best candidate. I found out later I was number 2. There had been somebody that bit me in the interviews, but he was in a nice, comfortable with a nice, comfortable employer, and ABI couldn't match, so he didn't move. So they came down to me, number 2.
Wow.
That's how I got offered the job at ABI. So I'd be foolish to think that it was all me. Here I was being told I wasn't the best. You were our second choice. There was somebody better than me. The humility to know that there'll always be people better than you, at your level, you're better than, or there are things beyond your control. You can be as prepared and as eloquent and as well-read, and it takes God to just make things happen for you. Left the other person nicely employed, made an opening for me, which has been an opportunity of a lifetime, because this is where I got my first role as a chief executive at African Alliance. I had made it to Exco because I was heading a department and I was deputizing the CEO. But at ABI is where I have learned and understood corporate governance. I have been trained. I have been ushered properly into executive management, C-suite leadership, because I made chief operating officer, and then from there I was promoted to chief executive. But see how imperfectly that story started. I was not the best coming in. I was number 2.
I'm here thinking, Mona, also to normalize the courage to give it a shot, even when you know you may not be the best.
Exactly.
I have I have met someone who said, who, when they know which people are bidding for a certain job, they won't even try. Because,
what a shame.
Yeah, because they think, the other person has an advantage over them, whether relationships or connections or experience. It's very important to always give it a shot, because you just never know.
You just never
Also,
know. At that point, I didn't know who my competition was.
No, you didn't.
I went in to give it my best shot, and indeed I was number 2, but look at what took number 1 out.
Exactly.
And I've been met with the opportunity of a lifetime.
I have a friend who likes to say, give God what to work with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You must give yourself the opportunity for luck. If one, where people are putting luck, we're putting God.
Yeah.
But you must give opportunity for that to happen.
Yeah.
Get in the ring, get in the arena, apply, go for the interview. The job will not come to you at your current job if you don't apply, if you don't have that conversation, if you don't seek, if you don't ask that girl out.
Do the bare minimum, where in this case the bare minimum is taking the shot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, Mona. I don't even know how to bring this up, but you mentioned something about stewardship, relationships, which people you know. How deliberate would you say you have been in your journey of life and work to maintain relationships, or has it been subconscious? You don't even know, because many of these placements that you had, the opportunities, like you mentioned, you'll be in spaces where some information is being relayed. Would you say you have been intentional to build some relationships and let go of others, or has it been a certain lifestyle that has led you in those relationships? I don't know.
I wasn't always like this. If I think I'm intentional now, it is something I learned recently. I was asked this question recently, what would I do differently? And for instance, I talked about be more intentional about the networks, take up more coaching, mentoring, and sponsorship much earlier than I did. I think I was privileged to have had these relationships in place and working for me at the time, and I think they were few. as they did unintentionally. They just happened to be my friends. Many of them, actually, two of the friendships I does, and another gentleman, I relate directly to my brother, Alan.
Who you did the masters with?
Yes.
Yes.
He introduced me to Ida and another friend who opened the door to ABI, and just by telling me about these opportunities. But I can't say at that point I was intentional. I have learned the intentionality of relationships and what I've called the CMS, coaching, mentoring, and sponsorship. I think in the last 5-year period, particularly, I credit that to Worship Harvest Ministries, specifically Apostle Moses Mukasa.
Yeah.
A teaching apostle, a teaching pastor, a teaching ministry. It's a teaching, learning, and growth space. I know that it has coincided with my time at Worship Harvest that I have learned a lot of these things. So I would say that the intentionality has been over the last 5 years. And before that, it would be God's grace. It is God's grace that I had those relationships and they worked for me, or I worked them because I was not intentional or very aware that I was working relationships. I wonder if it was a thing at the point when we were growing up. One, the whole reading culture. I think books have now become closer with things like Audible and what have you.
Yes.
The issue around reading, articulating what we're learning. The platforms have increased over the last 5 years, the LinkedIns of this world and all these other spaces that have enabled learning, YouTube and what have you. So prior to the last 5 years, I'd be lying if I said that I was intentional. I stumbled into it, and by God's grace, relationships helped and worked. Now I'm more intentional over the last 5 years, and even intentional about giving and supporting others as I have been supported, especially that. It's critical. It's critical that we're helping more than we're being helped, or try and pour out ourselves. And when you expose yourself to such spaces, you just must keep going back to learn. Otherwise, you get stale. You have nothing new to offer. And the questions and the curiosity pushes you to learn and grow, so that you can help the other people who, I think in their space right now, they'd be saying unfortunate, and that they are afflicted with me and my children. You know, there are certain things you see in spaces and you just make a mental note. I need to address this issue with the kids so that they don't grow up to make these mistakes that we made. Or when you see an adult making some what you think are obvious blunders, then poor kids over dinner, they don't know why they're being lectured over certain things. But it was because we saw something. What did we do to
deserve this?
And many times, I'll discuss it with my husband. If I saw this, did you see this? We should tell the kids. We should have a conversation about that. Poor kids, I think they get force-fed a lot of things and probably wonder where they came from. They'll grow up later and see where it all came from. Many times we explain, by the way, we learn the point because we saw somebody do this and this, and it was embarrassing for them and their families, and and that type of thing. But poor kids, they are really, I think they'll ask themselves, are we bearing the brunt of all the mistakes that you happen to come across in the world? Yeah, they're like, unfortunately, kids happen to be their parents' experiments.
Yes.
And I once listened to something. For some reason, we feel like we get judged a lot by the success or failure of our children.
Yes.
And I think we need to take a bit of pressure off ourselves. But I think it's because I think children are almost one of the most important things we're given to steward. And so you really want what's best for them.
Yes.
And you do your best to apply yourself. Especially, I think I saw someone, it's not what you leave them, but it's what you leave in them. And so you're saying, what are we leaving in these kids?
About what you leave in them. You mentioned something about your dad and how he treated you pocket money-wise. What he left in you without even knowing.
Yes, he's still living, he's still depositing. I'll tell you one thing he's big on is physical capital. He is 85 this year, and he still gets up for his morning jog, it has now slowed down to a trot.
Wow, yeah.
It has slowed down to a trot, and he does his morning trot and exercises. I can see that the movements are slower, but he gets his exercise in, and at 85 he doesn't suffer any lifestyle diseases.
Wow.
No diabetes, nor hypertension and the like, and just has his supplements and eats rather healthy. So in terms of physical capital, I have learned that from my dad. I've seen what it means to invest. And I remember he made this switch in his lifestyle at 50. So that gives me a lot of consolation. He was a medical doctor. He's now retired, a physician.
Yeah.
Who specialized in internal medicine. And he told us, I remember, that it hit him when he was treating a number of patients on lifestyle diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure, and that type of thing. And he looked at his own lifestyle and thought, I'm going to be my own patient one of these days. At that time, he was very heavy in squash, but he was doing a lot of red meat and drinking alcohol. He was not an alcoholic, but, enjoyed a good beer or two. And he needed to make the adjustments because he knew if he didn't change one. In fact, I remember what shook him up was gout.
Yes.
He got afflicted by gout, and he says, this is the advent.
Yeah.
This is the advent if I don't make a turnaround. He was well into his 50s. And he went drastic, and he dropped the alcohol, cut out red meat, kept up the exercise. And here we are at 85. He's growing strong. He's slowed down generally, as you can imagine, at 85, but he's in good health. And he's been such a blessing and inspiration on discipline. Now he also gave the financial discipline in terms of budgeting.
Yes.
I remember.
Yes.
And he had a very simple arithmetic of this is what you'll spend per day. There are 30 days in a month. This is what I'm giving you. If you want to spend a week's
budget
of your pocket money in one day, it's up to you. I'll see you at the next visitation. Don't bother writing notes in between. But he was teaching us budgeting. He was teaching us budgeting at the time, and that really helped and stayed with us. And he was the first student we had on at least managing money responsibly by way of budgeting and planning.
So here's the thing for me, Mona. I'm almost sure when he was teaching you budgeting, he didn't tell you this is budgeting, this is whatever. It's something he was doing to make sure you use money responsibly and so on. So just to reassure you, even these conversations you're having with the kids over dinner are not in vain.
Thank you for the consolation. Your children are ahead of mine. So if you say so that you're seeing the fruits, I'll believe you.
They are not in vain.
Okay.
They come back to us much later in life.
Actually, many times when I'm consoled to keep going on, the number of times I quote my parents, the number of things my mother has taught me, and I find myself quoting them, using them, telling people about them, or repeating to my kids. Many times I've also had her quote her own mother. Mama used to, in fact, they say, Mami, akatujiraga, or this or the other. And I remember I actually told her, I said, Mami, just think, Kaka has been gone how many years, and you're still quoting things she taught you. You've passed on to me, I'm passing on to my kids. I remember telling her, Mami, this really encourages me to keep talking. Somewhere along the way, kids speak. I said, look, she's been gone many years and you're still quoting her like an authority, or the authority that she was. So yes, thank you for the encouragement.
Mona, thank you. Is there anything that you probably had on your heart that we probably have not touched before I close this?
Yes.
What would you want to say to? Okay, fine.
In conclusion, really, it's life is not a straight line.
No.
Performance currency is not going out of fashion.
Yeah.
For people in school studying, the best thing you can do for yourself is, one, appreciate the opportunity in front of you.
Yeah.
Use it well and get good grades. It's better to have good grades than excuses and complain about a system that doesn't look beyond grades. When you don't have the grades, then you start bashing the system that uses the grades.
Yeah.
rise above that fray and give the system what it wants. If it's grades, have the grades, and then get in and talk about other things. Same thing in the workspace. Performance currency, first of all, gets your foot in the doorway. Other soft skills are very important. Emotional intelligence.
Are the ones that will keep you there.
Yes, emotional intelligence, decency. I really put a premium on decency and being well-mannered and livable with, and general good manners.
Comfortable to get along with.
Yes, public speaking, improving oneself, all that is important. Good performance currency is important. Competence is important. So never run away from competence or performance currency. The other one is character. Character, integrity, but decency. Just be a good person. Be sensible.
Yeah.
Don't be selfish. Don't be mean. Think of the other party. Don't lie. Pause, reflect, ask, consult. You don't have the monopoly on wisdom. If you feel you must cheat or take from someone in order for you to gain, tread on someone's rights, stuff you wouldn't be open about in public, disenfranchising somebody, taking away someone's rights, humiliating somebody, shaming somebody, nasty stuff.
Yeah.
Character, that's critical. We like to talk about integrity, but we don't get to the day-to-day meaning of that and the decency.
Define it in everyday terms.
People can be nasty. Don't be nasty. Offer a helping hand. Sometimes keep quiet. Give way. Let people have time off. Be humane. It can't just be bottom line. That would be critical. The third and, in fact, most important one, I keep saying, is the God factor.
Yeah.
It can't just be about, when you look at your life and the things you've been saved from, situations you've been rescued from, the help you've been given, the dots that connected. I mean, I've just told you my career journey.
Yeah.
I would never have plotted it.
No.
And also to appreciate the grace of God in your life, the family you were born into, the education that you received,
Yes.
the parents that you had, the people that opened doors. It wasn't all you.
No.
Known and unknown, the people who spoke in rooms for you where you weren't.
Yes.
Things you might never know, things he withheld, the protection. The whole thing of, you wake up every day and you think it was all by you. There's a point in the night, you can't account for, you don't know what you dreamt, you're dead asleep. The thing they say, dead asleep. And then you woke up, but somehow you woke up and you think it's all you. You go to work, you come back. Other people go to work and don't come back to their families. Other people are in hospital fighting for their lives.
Yeah.
So accounting for God in that, you have to take stock and pause. Why are you not that child who was born in an underserved region, in a war-torn area? You can't account for that. Born into the faith that you are, the family that you are, the circumstances, things you can't explain, and just acknowledge it and account for it. Because when you don't, you give the impression of picture perfection, which doesn't exist. The other one is that tough times will come. Boring times come. Painful times come. Seek God in those times, and God acts through people. So allow yourself to be helped. Ask for help from people. Have the humility to ask for help in situations when you don't know. Own up to not knowing. There's no monopoly on wisdom or knowledge, or knowledge rather. Have the humility to say your heart, you're weak, you don't know, asking for help. Help others. Be generous. Truly be generous. To even when it hurts, somebody has lost someone. Would you rather send them some money or keep lunch for you and I to now head off to Village Mall and have a coffee? You understand.
I understand.
You've got to be deliberate about those things. I think we really need to introspect. But a big one, especially for this generation, is this picture perfect image. It doesn't exist. What you see on social media are just stills in a very short period of time. With a friend of mine, Leila, we like to joke about, picture perfect shots. But you don't know how we were grabbing our kids by the hair and threatening them that if you don't smile properly in the picture, no KFC, or I'm going to beat you. But when you look at the picture, oh, what a perfect family. You understand?
But the breathlessness it takes to tuck in.
Exactly. Right? Exactly. So, let's do away with picture perfection. And let's embrace AI and not demonize it. The thing that we talked about earlier. I think we'll end at that point.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mona. I mean, we have outdone ourselves. Broken another record of the longest episode.
Oh dear.
Our viewers and listeners, Mona Muguma Ssebuliba, ABI CEO, it was such a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much.
I mean, we talked about a lot of life.
I don't know what life. I loved it. Life,
I loved it.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Until the next episode, our viewers and listeners, I'll catch you on that one.